Hello, Dr. Karen Can here. Welcome to another edition of the Spiritual Medicine Digest. And this week is all about truth and how potentially learning of the truth can be traumatic to many people, and then what we can do about it. So it seems to me, at least in the last few days or the last couple of weeks, that there's a lot of quote unquote truth leaking out into what I would consider mainstream media. That would be like ABC News, CNN, Yahoo News, etc. Interestingly, as I don't really read the news that much, but occasionally it comes across my desk because one of my students or colleagues has shared it with me. What I notice is that there are pieces of truth embedded in slight propaganda sometimes, but I think it's still very interesting. So I have to say that years ago, learning about the pharmaceutical industry and how in psychiatry that there were scientific papers actually authored by pretty prominent MD psychiatrists that were actually fake and phony, that they put their names on it for a sum of, well, quite a few dollars. But the only reason we found out about it was because of tax evasion. Somehow the government figured out that these prominent psychiatrists were not paying taxes on these little kickbacks, big kickbacks, from the pharmaceutical industry. And when I first found out about that, I was shocked. And you know what's really interesting is a shock can literally be a trauma to your energetic body. And if not resolved in the most positive way, it can hang out and hang out and hang out for years, causing dis-ease and illness. So, what about today? There's so many truths coming out, things that people thought were true that aren't true. For example, and this is not across the board by any means, and I'm just telling you what's recent. Um, some of the airlines from other countries are advising people to not go on their airplanes for the risk of blood clots after the and of course, people got the so they could travel. Many people did. Now, for me, being a holistic physician, light medicine healer, etc., it didn't make sense to me to be an experiment in a highly rushed, you know, um, fashion to be a guinea pig without those long-term studies, because I know from my doctor career that any newfangled drug that came out that we were so excited about so many times, that excitement was like, cut when we found out some of the consequences of these very, very popular medications, such as Vioxx and Celebrex, causing heart attacks. And the companies did know and probably may have saved 100,000 lives if they had actually come clean with that instead of the FDA having to force their hand to take them off the market. And there are many stories like this. I'm just not going to go into at this point. So I told my patients long ago, I said, you know what? This is the new kid on the block. Looks great on paper, but we don't have a track record with this. So I advise not taking this particular one because it's so new. And even my patients got, and even people that weren't my patients, they got the hang of it. Like, okay, wait a second, this is pretty new. So maybe I should wait, because invariably within 10 years time, they find out some major stuff is, adverse effect. And sometimes it's too late for some people, right? So I had a patient that, you know, um, had been put on this medication by another specialist, and it was fairly new. It's new enough that I didn't know how to prescribe it. So, and all of a sudden, he got swollen legs and urinary tract infections. Like literally, he could not pee because everything was so inflamed. And I was like, this is really weird. And I looked up the medication, looked up the side effects, and sure enough, there it was, you know. Maybe it didn't look that common, but it was there, right? Right in the excerpt, you know, the drug information. So I contacted the urologist and I said, hey, you know, I think this drug is contributing to it. And I actually CC'd the doctor that prescribed it. I think it was the cardiologist. And I said, look, this is the trend. I've known this patient for a very, very long time. This is so uncharacteristic, does not make sense why he would have these issues. And he ended up with like one of those bags, you know, because and a catheter for like months and months and months and months, right? Like it was pretty bad, pretty uncomfortable, lots of complications with something so invasive like that, right? So I'm like, you know, let's pause here, okay? Because we're getting these recurrent infections. We're getting this you know this bladder that won't work. It's the medication. So I believe the you know the specialist who did not prescribe it, their urologist was like, okay, you know, kind of sort of more or less accepting my perceptions, if you will. The cardiologist, on the other hand, was like, no, I still think you should be on it. I was like, really? So you know, it's tough because when the patient has like multiple doctors, right? And it's so popular these days to have this specialist for this and this specialist for this, right? And here I am looking at the whole picture, not just their general wellness and health as a you know primary care or former primary care MD, but also from you know the emotional and the mental and you know energetic points of view as well. So I did have a nice little talk with the patient and thank goodness, he sort of agreed with me and he said, okay, I'm going to stop it. So this was, you know, not what cardiologist wanted, but I'm like, look, you know, I really would like you to trust me on this one, right? So he did stop the medication. The infections went down, the swelling went down. He got off his catheter, never had to go on it again. So, you know, me in saying this is just like sometimes it's not good to be at the front of the line for things that are new, at least from the pharmaceutical point of view, and definitely something that may be experimental. So that's my personal opinion. It doesn't mean that you're wrong if you do get it and things like that. But there's a lot of things coming out right now, studies and because we just know more right as time goes on. Researchers from all over the world, different places are you know they're coming up with some very interesting conclusions and very concerning conclusions. And when people learn the truth of what maybe they did that they now regret potentially, or especially if they had a loved one or someone they personally know that was harmed or killed, you know, as a result of or related to this particular decision, it can be traumatic. And this trauma can sit in the energy field for a very long time and cause disease and cause problems and cause health issues and even cause death. Yeah, you can be so stressed that it can cause death. So this may happen more and more as certain truths come out. So why don't you watch for that, especially with your loved ones, you know? Now, it doesn't mean you have, and that's the other thing too, is it doesn't mean that you want to, you know, shake your loved ones and, you know, like force them to see the truth because that could be causing trauma. One of the things that we have as humans that is very protective, although maybe maladaptive in the long run, but very protective is denial. Denial is a protection mechanism so that we don't go into shock. Like I said, it may be maladaptive in the long run, but in the short term, let's not criticize or try to, like I say, shake people awake so violently that they get traumatized by it. Let this trickle reveal itself. Let it, because you know what? Even though it seems maybe so totally obvious to you, right? And even if you're trying to communicate with loved ones or family members, if they're in that space of denial, it doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter what proof you give. It doesn't matter because they don't want to know, you know? And my mom made a good point. You know, she said, let's just be happy, right? Let's, you know, and your dad are just trying to be happy. We're in our 80s. Let's not worry about this or that. And you know what? Given that, I come from a family of warriors, I think there's something to that. Now, I personally will not go into denial because I did that decades ago and got sick eventually. But so like I said, maladaptive in the long term. But let's remember that when these truths come out, that there will be periods of people that will experience this trauma, and not necessarily the people in denial, because if they're still in denial, they're going to keep going into denial for a really, really long time, potentially. And it's like, oh, well, like you don't have control over that, right? But for the people that are open to new information and they get that new information, sometimes that can be traumatic. So if you're in the place where you're like, hey, I want to help, how can I help? How can I support people in embracing the greater truth, but not being traumatized by it? Or if they're traumatized by it, how do I help them through that and support them? Because this is all hands on deck. Okay, this is the time we really, really, if we're going to need our light workers, we need them now. And that means you. Even if you're not a professional light worker, professional healer, you know what? There's plenty of professional healers that I know, unfortunately, who have been bamboozled by this whole couple of years. They are lost too. So just because a person has initials after their name, MD, ND, whatever, or they're a professional healer or are famous, or people make mistakes. People can be manipulated if they're not fully aware, if they're not questioning themselves all the time. That's a really healthy thing to do. Not questioning as in like I'm not a good enough person, not that kind of questioning, but just questioning what is true for me, what is true for the world, what is true for me, and in a very neutral way, just being open to new information. I like to say that humble pie is not necessarily a bad dessert. In other words, if we can stay humble, then we can actually help others as well and not have that feeling of superiority, right? Because people can feel that, and it's not cool. It's not helpful. So there are 3 levels that you can help people get when they get to this area of truth. Okay, if they're in denial, that's fine. You can leave them there, bless them, right? When they start getting into this, oh my gosh, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean there's more people that voted in America for the last election than there are actually people that are eligible to vote? What? You know what I mean? Like, as things come out, there are 3 ways that you can help them. Number 1, and these are foundational, right? So 1, 2, 3. Okay. You can't do 3 before you do 1. So the simplest way is to hold the space. How do you hold the space? You radiate peace. You radiate love and compassion. And when you feel that little, in your body that wants to argue or be in conflict or be in I told you so, or superiority or anything like that, that's the time to heal yourself. And we all have it. So it's like, okay, I feel it. So instead of facing the lens this way, face it this way, right? Let's hear ourselves. So when you can radiate that love, that peace, that compassion, even if you can't do it 24/7, none of us are perfect, right? That is going to be so helpful, because that positive morphic field around you, through you, within you, will actually hold that beautiful space for other people to help resolve those trauma energies. Now, as an added bonus in this first level, you could also take the skills in my book, Sensitivities to Superpower, Transformational Telepathy, and just do that exercise. It's so easy. Teach it to children, you do that exercise especially for those closest to you. And that's like sending them a mini healing, a packet of love, every single day. And you'll see how things shift in a very positive way. It may take 24 hours, it may take 48 hours, it might take a week, it might take the whole 30 days of the transformational telepathy. But I can pretty much guarantee you do this from this area, this heart space, you're going to see results. in very surprising ways. Every single person that I have taught this to has seen results. And that's just level 1. Okay. What else can we do to help with? And then this is, for ourselves and for our loved ones. Level 2 would actually be to learn a skill to help those you love, a healing skill, a trauma release skill. And there are many out there, but here's the cool thing. The old skills that we had before, what I call talk therapy, too slow, too slow. I'm not saying it's not helpful, but you need something else. That's just my opinion. Okay, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just sharing you what I heard from source. It's too slow. So you need a way to really literally take the trauma out. Doesn't mean the counseling is not helpful as well, but you need something fast to take that energy out. This is not the information age. This is the energy age. The age of energy, the age where things happen quickly. We're understanding more and more from science that, how the quantum realm works, how physics really works in those smaller, tiny areas, that the universe is full of or created by photons. The photons are sacred geometry. Our thoughts are sacred geometry. I mean, there's all these amazing new awarenesses. Of course, we're not taught this in medical school because this is, in the last however many decades, and it takes about 40, 50 years for some of that to trickle down into our university systems and medical school systems. But you can learn this now, and I love to learn, so I keep learning, and so many courses I'm doing simultaneously. Yeah. So learn a skill that you can help yourself and your loved ones and your family members and friends with. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be reaching out to some of these teachers because my way may be very, very different from another way, but yet they get to the same place very quickly. So we want to be able to release multiple traumas of multiple types, because you can have one bad news one day and the bad news another day and the bad news another day, or and these traumas can layer upon each other, and then people can literally get sick from these. So we want to be able to clear these out very, very quickly. These what I call negative morphic fields or negative subconscious patterns or trauma energies. So what can we do, right? Well, what I teach is the Topican healing method. So in the Topican healing method, we align to our inner source creator. We get into that energetic space. It's very easy to do that. The second thing is then we use divine muscle testing to ask questions. You can literally ask, how many trauma energies are now present that we can release? And you can even be more specific. See how many trauma energies are left that are not fully resolved related to X. It could be related to the pandemic. It could be related to my loved one getting sick. It could be related to my loved one dying. It could be whatever. Okay, hearing the news or hearing that there really are UFOs and are aliens and they've been hiding it for X number of years and decades, right? So whatever the shock is, you can go ahead and ask specifically for that. Is there a shock energy or a trauma energy that is unresolved that I can resolve right now? The answer is yes. Here's your next step if you do divine muscle testing or dowsing. How many? I love that question. How many? I like to start with 10 or more or 10 or less, or 10 or more or less than 10. So if it's 10 or more, you just, say, okay, is it between 10 and 20, 20 and 30, right? And this could go on. Now, here's the interesting with Topican healing. We heal multiple timelines simultaneously. So it's all about the question you ask. So you can ask how many unresolved shocks and trauma energies are left to heal that I can heal right now from all my timelines combined. You might want to start with a higher number, 50 or more, or less than 50, right? And then you just keep going up or down depending on where that number is until you get pretty much the exact number. Now it could be give or take 1 or 2. But say you have 30 traumas, right? And the key question here is that you can heal right now. And when you do Topican healing, there's already kind of an agreement that anything that can heal from you now heals with ease, speed, and grace. Unless, for whatever reason, your subconscious mind really wants to know you're healing and then you have major detox symptoms. But we make the intention to make it with ease, speed, and grace in Topican healing. So once you have that number, you may or may not need to know more information. We check in and we say, hey, is there anything else I need to know before resolving these? If the answer is no, then you do a Topican healing directive. That's our third step in Topican healing. You got to align, you got to ask, and you got to activate. So in the activate stage, we use that a Topican healing directive to clear those trauma energies, to clear those shock energies fully from the body. And this can take what, 3 seconds, a minute, 30 seconds? I mean, not long, right? And then after you do that, you settle in, feel what that feels like in your body. Then you go and count again how many trauma or shock energies are left unresolved. And say you got 50, then you go less than 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Now, if say you get to 0, you're done for the day, right? If you get to say 2 or 5 or whatever it is, you can say, oh, there's still some. Is the reason it's not fully resolved because I'm just processing, which is more than likely the case if the answer is yes? Then you can ask, how long will it take me to process it fully with ease and grace? 5 days, 3 days, 2 days. Usually 2 to 3 days is ideal, or less, of course. Now, if you get that, okay, it's not that, you say there's 2 trauma energies left and it can't be fully resolved, is it because something has to heal first? And that's a possibility. Now, when that happens, then you're kind of like, if you don't know Topican healing in depth, and you'd be like, well, now what do I do, right? Well, in Topican healing, we have these charts, and these charts help you to figure out what that thing is that needs to heal first. And then you do the same 3 steps. Release that, and then oftentimes whatever else you were originally trying to release or heal can be released. And the other thing, a nice little tip for Topican healing is sometimes we like to say, in the Topican healing directive, and you'll hear it in a moment, after we release and erase these energies, to fill the holes with love and light. Now, it automatically fills, but occasionally there'll be 1 or 2, whatever, that it does not completely fill, like the hole just stays a hole. So we want to fill the holes with love and light, right? Because where there's holes, sometimes things like to go back in. So we want to just clear that permanently and then fill the holes with love and light so there's no holes left. Hopefully that makes sense. So that's I'm just giving you a really quick rundown of how we would deal with trauma energies in Topican healing. And there are so many other things that you can heal with Topican healing. So if this is of interest to you and you have not already taken my Topican Level 1 training program, I'll stick the link. You can learn more. There's actually a sample healing right on that page where I did live with someone who's a healer who allowed us to film this and put it up. And you can see how it's done, and my shtick is really helping other people do what I do. So healing quickly, easily, gracefully. But there are many other techniques to release trauma. And like I said, what I'd love to do is in my future podcast would like to, share with you some of these teachers doing these really great, really great trauma release work. Like how do you turn, stress to positive energy on a dime? Like, how do you do that, right? So these things are all complementary. It's just a matter of how you wish to do it. The nice thing about Topican healings, you get to precisely pinpoint things when you ask those questions, and some of the other modalities you don't, but it doesn't mean they're less effective. They are just as effective. It's just a different way. So it's whatever resonates with you. So if this does resonate with you, the Topican healing method, like I said, I'll put the link near this video so you can check it out, learn more about this healing modality, and you can even get on an application for a synergy interview with me so we can check in and see if this is a good move for you to learn this healing modality. And just FYI, we have added some extra value to this program. You get actually a year's worth of classes with me. In addition, we just added twice a month an hour-long mentoring session with one of our Topican Level 2 practitioners, Peggy Jo. So when people get a little stuck or they don't know how to ask a question as you're learning Topican healing, which generally doesn't take that long to learn, but we just want you to be supported for this time. So the price is going to go up July 1st. Actually delayed. It was supposed to be June 15th, but I delayed it. So July 1st. It's going to go up. So if you are interested, if you've been, connecting with me for a while, whether it be a Facebook, email, whatever it is, now is the time to come in, because as I re-record some of the newer information and change the student portal and update it, you'll just, get that for free. You won't have to pay any sort of upgrade fee. So if you get it in now, you're going to save about $333 when the price goes up on July 1st. So that I want you to know about. So what else? Well, I do have some exciting announcements for you. Yeah, so on Monday's Light Warrior Radio is a pre-record. We're going to air it on Monday at 12 noon with my colleague, Dr. Alina Ismail, and she is the fatigue decoder. So if you've been feeling fatigued, we're going to be talking about the fatigue gut connection. She has a special gift for you as well. So check that out. I'll put the link to the show on Monday down below so you can listen in. It's not live, but it airs live on Monday at 12 noon. The other thing, very exciting, is that the Light Warrior Training Camp is now open for registrations as well. Now, the Light Warrior Training Camp is usually a live event, in-person event. The last time I did it was in 2019, before the pandemic. It was at the prestigious Omega Institute, and I got hints from source that I should be doing this again soon, and I decided to, well, people did travel from all over to go there. Like we had, for our various different workshops in the past, Denmark, UK, Finland, Canada, US, I mean, all over. So because travel is still a little bit dicey right now, we're going to do it virtually. So it's the Light Warrior Training Camp virtual immersion. And that's going to be on 2 Saturdays and Sundays back to back, July 24th, 25th, 31st, and August 1st from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern, with breaks in between and things like that. So this really is a live workshop style. So if you are interested in learning divine muscle testing, practicing your telekinesis, your hands-on healing, we're doing all sorts of things, your telepathy. We're going to be actually having you do it, the skill set, during the live camps. It's not going to be me lecturing and you just sitting there listening. Okay, like you might as well just read the book, right? It's really about you embracing not just the concepts, but your abilities to do this, really harnessing your abilities to do this. So at the end of this camp, you will feel like, hey, I can do this. This is really cool. You can practice some more, of course, after the camp. But we want you to actually have those skill sets by the end of the camp. So I'm super excited. There's going to be a limited number of people, right? Because there's only so many people I can manage, even on Zoom. So there is an early bird price for this. It is $447, so $50 off instead of the regular $497 for the camp. So I will post the link down below near this video so you can check it out. And like I said, if you're interested, please register early, because that early bird does end July 7th. And also, like I said, we have a limited space for something like this, because there's, we want to have that interaction, right? So it's not about 1 to 1,000 or anything like that, right? So we want to have, a smaller group. So I can, so I can be attentive to each and every one of you. And this is the first time we've done it virtually, but I have a really great sense of how we're going to do this. It's going to be so fun. I mean, the downside is I don't get to physically hug you in person, just virtually, but it's going to be super, super fun. So if you read my book, if you've liked some of this stuff in there and you really want to, get those skills up, this is the fastest, quickest way to do it, is actually be in an immersion type situation. Okay, so what other, let's see what other announcements I have. Oh, yes. Remember to join me live at the IAWSOME Summer Launch Party, July 10th and 11th. So at the International Academy of Universal self-mastery. I'll put the link below. It's free to join. You'll have really cool lectures and interactive things that you're going to be doing with the faculty at the school that Saturday and Sunday. So I hope you can join us there. I will be speaking on the Sunday. And then anything else I want to share with you? I think that is it. Yes. And then, like I said, I'll post below the link to the Topican healing method because, like I said, the best time to get it is now if you want to invest in that and learn this healing modality because the price goes up July 1st. All right. So last but not least, we're going to do a Topican healing directive. So I'm going to do this once, but please feel free to do this for yourself. And it's really great if you can do the divine muscle testing, just check in on those traumas. So I'm going to demonstrate it for you now. What I want you to do is to just connect in with your body. You can close your eyes if you'd like to. You can rub your hands to get some energy flowing if you'd like to. And then rest your hands, feel the energy flowing from your hands, focusing on the inside of your body, feeling the flow and following that flow of energy in your body. Okay. And then I'll speak the Topican healing directive and you just notice what happens in your body. Here we go. I now command that any and all trauma energies and shock energies be erased, dissolved, and uncreated and released from you and all versions of you and all realities in the highest and best way, all directions of time, with ease, speed, and grace, and all the holes filled with the highest vibrations of love and light. Thank you. Okay, so notice how the body feels. That's the directive. And then you can open your eyes. And then I'd love for you to put in the comments below how that felt in your body. If you felt a shift, if you felt some energy moving, if you felt it moving from one spot to the other, what temperature, the feeling, your emotions. Okay? Especially if you've acknowledged that there has been some trauma energies or maybe you've had some difficulty letting that go. Let me know how that feels right now. I would love to know. And just feel free to take that topic healing directive and do it for your loved ones. Now, you may need permission from them, of course, to do that. And if you do decide that you are very interested in the Topican Level 1 training program, where we teach you how to test for these things and then, create your Topican healing directives and heal them, get on a synergy interview, apply for a synergy interview. Let's have a conversation and see if it's right for you. Now, I only have limited spaces for interviews before that July 1st deadline hits and the price goes up. So yeah, so definitely, check out the site. There is a button at the top. This is apply for an interview, and do that as soon as you can so we can have a chat before that July 1st deadline. All right, take care. Lots of love to you. And remember, shine your light, shine your love so that all can benefit from it. Until next time, bye for now.